Hello, I'd like to talk a little bit about pizzicato. There's not a whole lot out there, I guess, talking about the right hand in bass playing. And I'll just go through a few things that I think about. One thing to consider is the kind of the looseness of the arm. It's not really a finger thing, like that. You're not just going like that. If you do that, I think you're going to get tired. You may get some tendon issues. It's more of kind of a loading of the string. Now when I play, I usually have these fingers on the string. Same thing with bass guitar. It's always what it does is it's dampening the sympathetic vibrations of the other strings when you're playing. When you're playing this A, you can still hear it. Then this A down here starts to vibrate. So if you play it and you have maybe these fingers just resting here, it dampens all of the all of the peripheral vibrations that are going to be happening. It's also it's a way to rest. You're just resting your arm, and that brings me to the idea of the initial stroke, where first of all, this thumb down here, you're not pressing against anything. It's there as a it gives you an idea of how far you are from that point. So each of these strings is a different distance, and you get an idea in relationship to where your thumb is as to where you are. It gives you a nice pivot thing, and you'll notice that the hand position, the finger position, is consistent with the string for the most part, and everything, the whole arm is moving, and the arm should be relatively weightless. You can think about the arm coming from the center of your spine, and you're just kind of everything is just fluid and kind of weightless. But there is a weight element, and if you hook this finger on the string, you'll notice that the string is moving, and it's just the weight of my arm that's doing that. So you can just sort of load the string and then release, and you follow through into the next lower string. You see how the next lower string is bent. So it's not really a this finger thing. It's the whole thing. The whole arm coming from the center of your back, kind of like loading the string and pulling it across, and also your finger. My finger follows through into the next lower string, but also into the fingerboard itself, because you're not pulling just straight across. You're pushing down as you do it. So I'm just using the tip of this finger, and then you would do the same thing for your second finger. I advocate using two fingers. Some people use three, some people just use one. For me, with my second finger, I do the same thing. I load the string and then just release. You can just wait. You can load the string and just feel where everything is coming from, where your shoulder is. How's your shoulder? Is there any tension? There really shouldn't be any. And you just load it. So that's one approach, is the single finger and both of them. So ideally you want to alternate them. Now with another approach is the two finger thing, and the angle that your hand comes down onto the strings is determined, at least mine, by how long your fingers are. So if you just come straight like this, then this finger can't reach. So you just, however long your fingers are, you just angle them so that they become essentially the same length. And you do the same thing. You load the string and you pull across and down. So here's just the first finger. Here's the double finger. A little bit of the darker sound. And then here's alternating. You can't really tell. It's difficult to notice, whether I'm alternating. Yeah, this is alternating. This is just double, and this is just one. From a visual standpoint, they look pretty similar. Alternate, 2. Now, when you're following through on the lower string, you're just following through into the air. You can keep your thumb here, like that. I have a tendency, depending on how fast I'm playing, to bring my hand off the instrument. You may notice with Charlie Hayden, if you listen to him, he's got kind of a snapping. It almost sounds like he's snapping his fingers. I think when he plays on the low strings, he's doing something like this and following through into his hand. I can't do it, but I think that's where that sound is coming from. So it is a follow through. There's another idea, and I will use this more on the lower string, is where I'm starting from, essentially from this knuckle down to going across like that. And this way you're using, a good 2.5 inches or 2 inches, depending on how big your hands are. You're getting more meat on the string, and I'm using it. I'm pulling down. I use this primarily on the E string to get more of that darker kind of growly. Sometimes I'm just using the knuckle, but here you're really pressing the string down. If you just pull it to the side, it sounds dead. See, that's kind of dead sounding. That's just pulling directly side to side. You press it down, and you get a nice sound. These are not particularly growly strings. These are the Dario Helicore hybrids, and they're kind of dark, and I like that sound. So here again, when you're pressing the string down, what you're doing is you're getting the string to move this way, perpendicular to the fingerboard, so that you're getting a snap, and the string is microscopically, up by the left hand. It's kind of going like this against the fingerboard, and I think that gives you that growly kind of sound as opposed to this dead sound. One more thing I guess I'll talk about is octaves, which I love. You can walk in octaves, you can play melodies in octaves. Try to keep them in tune. Some people play octaves like this with a pinching motion. I find this to be pretty awkward. I've developed this thing, I'm not the only one, of course, where I use my 2 fingers, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm loading the string, pulling it across, and I'm just doing it 2 strings at the same time, following through into the next lower string. Octaves are great for getting your intonation together. You can use the same thing for tenths, which are a wonderful sound on the bass. Minor tenth, major tenth. Some people use this pinching technique for tenths, which is maybe a little bit easier on these, on the outside strings, but this still works well, and I think this is maybe stronger. So I think that's about it. I'm not a speed player, I don't have that. Some people, when you are trying to play faster, you have a tendency to come up onto the tips of your fingers, which I am not great at. I prefer I guess that's about it. I hope this is helpful. Enjoy the bass. See you later.